Welcome to Trust the Tangle. This is Michelle Thompson. I am a CZT, and today we are going to do one of our 2 or more lessons. I can't believe we're already at day 40 of the 100-day project. So we've gathered 40 tangles together already. Just amazing. I love looking through my little book that has all these tangles. It makes it so easy to find the ones that I want and try putting them together. That's my challenge, as well as your challenge. Sometimes it's trying to figure out what goes with what and how to put it together. So I am learning and playing right along with you. So I hope you're enjoying these challenges as much as I am. So anyway, let's get started. The tangle set I'm going to use today is Boulder Builder by Bunny Wright, Wave by Michelle Thompson, and Nzeppel by Zentangle. So those are the 3 main ones that we are going to put into our tile today. And I'm going to try doing something that's called morphing one tangle into another. And it's a new concept to me that I've been kind of playing around with and seeing what I can do with it. So we'll kind of try it today. It's an experiment. I have 2 top colors that I might use. I have not fully decided yet. I have indigo blue and lavender along with my tortillons. I have a white chalk pencil, my graphite pencil, and my tortillon for my graphite. I'm going to start with an 03 today. And then my tile looks a little different, doesn't it? What I've done, it's a regular white Zentangle tile, and I have put some watercolor onto it. Very, very light, watery colors, just to create kind of a different, cool background for this tile today. All right, so let's get started. First step, moment of gratitude, being thankful. Have some gratitude for something that's going on in your life that's wonderful, for the supplies that we have for our art, for having some time to sit down and do some art. Sometimes that isn't available, so I always count it as a blessing. All right, taking a nice deep breath. Relax our shoulders. Get settled into our seat nice and comfy. Ready to go. All right. So let's put our 4 dots. My graphite pencil is getting very short. It's hard to handle. I'm going to have to get one of those little extender pencil things for this little thing. All right. Let's join our dots. And remember, they don't have to be straight. Pick up my pen and get ready. All right, now we remember that the sign is only a guideline. We can always jump our border and have things extend out, which is always kind of fun to do. And we're going to do that with our Nzeppel. I'm not going to draw my Nzeppel just yet, but I'm going to kind of put a guideline in there where I think I want my Nzeppel to go. And I think, you know what, I'm going to do that with my pencil to begin with. So I think I want to have my Nzeppel come up. Kind of go out that way. And then it's going to end up coming up through the top, which seems kind of strange right now. So those are my Nzeppel guidelines. All right. So now that we have our Nzeppel guidelines, let's do some Boulder Builder. And Boulder Builder is one of my mac cheese tangles. I love Boulder Builder because it makes me think of a garden, and I love gardens. So I'm going to start over here in the corner. Now the thing with Boulder Builder, it is bricks. They're not even bricks. I always kind of think, well, they're hand carved perhaps. So they're not perfect by any means, not squared, no straight lines. I like to round my corners just a little bit. You do not necessarily have to do that. You can make them more pointy if you like. All right, I'm approaching my Nzeppel, which is okay. All right, I'm going to come back here about halfway and bring my Boulder Builder down. So you can see how it's kind of creating that brick look. It's hitting my Nzeppel guide over here, so I'm just going to draw it to my pencil line. And come back over here because this is actually going off of my border here. Okay. This one's coming off from the edge. Ooh. Get away, pencil. All right. Okay, now this is going to be kind of strange because this is where I'm going to begin to create the morph effect, but I need to set up my Boulder Builders in order to do that. So I'm going to come across all right, so here goes perfectly into that portion. And this one is going very nicely into this one. And I'm going to bring this down to begin my grid. So I need one more right there. And I think I'll do one just for show. Okay. All right, now I want to put some weight on some of these bricks, and there's no right place or wrong place, just so they look a little bit more cemented together, so to speak. They're put together and they're not going to fall apart. So I add a little weight here and there. Like I said, there's no right or wrong. You can choose your spots where you would like to see some weight. some cracks into our bricks. And again, there's no right or wrong place, but it's just a very thin, jaggedy line. And you can put as many or as few as you like. I just noticed this needs to go over. There we go. Okay. All right, so let's go over here. Okay, this is my sort of grid for my Nzeppel. As you can see, it's a little distorted as it's coming up into the brick, or the Boulder Builder, as I should call it when it is, right? All right, so for Nzeppel, you take one of your boxes, make an X, then make a plus, and then basically in each triangle you're going to round those off. Let me zoom in just a little bit so you can see this a little bit better. Okay, so you're going to just come around and round those corners, tracing over the other lines, rounding off those points. Good job. Continue all the way around. Now all these little spaces, go ahead and ink in. Okay. And continue on to the next one. This one's going to be a little distorted, and that's okay. Untangles wonderful when it's distorted. And these itty bitty little spaces, I really created some tiny spaces, didn't I? Right. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and finish out the rest of this. I'm going to stop here because my morphing is going to start right here. So I'm going to make sure I stop right here so I can think through my morphing a little bit better. Okay, this is where it's going to start morphing. Excuse me. So I think I'm going to go up and not go all the way up. Put a little crack right here. Okay. So it's coming up and it's moving into the Boulder Builder. It kind of morphs into it. And then we're going to come up here. All right. Yeah. One variation I've seen that I kind of enjoy. I love dots. I don't know if you all like dots. So you don't have to put the dots in there. But around the centers, at that end, I'm going to put a little dot. Just for the fun of it. No real purpose. think I'll put one way up here on the top. So we're going to start right about here. I'm going to come up and over. I'm going to kind of trace back down. I'm going to take off right about here. I'm going to lift off. And we're going to do a little bit of variation on a couple of these. So on this one, I'm going to do little stripes. Put a little weight right here by our orb. I put some weight on my curve right there. Okay, there's one. All right, this one I'm going to step down to the next brick. I just feel like I'm far away. Am I far away? I don't know. I can't quite decide what I am today. Maybe I'm just a little off. Okay, that's a little bit better, I think. All right, this one, I'm going to make him have kind of a fat little bottom. So I'm going to start over here on the edge, not quite at the edge, but near the edge. Okay. I'm going to come up and around. I kind of trace back down and take off. Stretch that out just a tad. I'll put a little bit of weight right here on this curve as well. Let's give it a try and see what it looks like. Alright, so down here, I'm going to put a flux going way over to the other side, crossing over. I'm going to draw one going behind. A little orb in here. We'll ink in our spaces. this one, I kind of come close to this side, and I wanted to bump into that one and come over. Down. Add a little bit of weight. Go ahead and do some striping on this one too, but we'll leave a highlight. Put a little bit more of a curve on it. Let's put some orbs into this one. Okay. All right, now just to add a little bit more to it, we're going to put some very long, I don't know that it has an actual tangle, but it's drawn from a Zentangle perspective as far as my head is concerned, I guess. So we're going to put some tall grass in here, and it's going to kind of twist and turn. let's go ahead and put our frame around. And I am going to add some weight to my frame. I think maybe, let's see, let's put a little orb right here. I feel like we need maybe that's good. All right. Let's do a little bit of shading. All right, for our Nzeppel that's coming up, we want to show that it is coming over the top. And we'll continue all the way down. And then I want some shadowing going on right here where it is morphing. So we will start there. Using what's left of my tortillon to shade in our little blades. Of grass right there. All right, now for the builder, what I like to do is just make kind of a corner shape on one of the corners of each Boulder Builder. And then I just go over spread it out just a little bit. Now you can go along the bottoms of these if you want to, but I prefer just to do my little corners. Okay. Shade down here at my border. Okay. Now, this little guy, I'm just going to put a little graphite on each side of the white portion because I want to have a rounding effect with these little guys. I'm going to shade in my flecks down here. He doesn't need too much shading. He's very black anyway. I'm going to put a little bit of shading into my orb. And use some of my leftover to shade in these little guys. I'm going to come along my frame. To do this side of my Nzeppel because it's going in behind my frame. Just going back over it a little bit to soften that just a tad. I'm going to put a little bit behind here just. All right, I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of color. If you do not wish to do that, you don't need to. You can use your graphite instead of a color if you like. You can wait and see how it turns out on here to decide if that's what you want to do or not. But I'm going to go ahead and right where the dots are, I'm going to put some purple. work that into the centers, little circular motions. Then on the other side, I'm going to add just a little bit of blue. Let's see what that turns out to be like. It may be a disaster. It may be beautiful. But you don't know until you try it and you play. That's what it's all about, right? Yep. Asking those what if kind of questions. What if I did that? I wonder how that would look. Well, we don't know until we actually try, right? Yep. Well, it kind of looks like the watercolor that became a little bit darker over here with the chalk, right? So the watercolor behind here faded a little bit. It needed to be just a little bit darker. But if you're looking at it with just your bare eye, you can see it more than you can actually see it on the camera. Like light on the camera kind of washes it out. Yeah, that doesn't make any difference, does it? Well, we tried. All right, now with the white chalk, where'd it go? Here it is. I'm going to go right down the center of this wave. So it makes it feel more round. I'm going to do the same thing on this little guy. And then this one, little tubby fat ones. So then you can see with the white chalk, it helps it curve a little bit more in there. And I think, you know what I just noticed? I think I'm going to do some very light graphite around them. You know, it might be fun too. Let's give our little guys We'll give this guy a purple one. And we'll give this one and this one a blue one. So you put a dark on one side and then you get it into the dirt and then you just lightly go around, leave a little highlight right there. We'll make this one purple. Make that one blue. Take a look at it. You can turn it It could go this way. It could even go that way. That's an interesting perspective. Yeah, that's a little bit better. Okay, let's go ahead and I think I'll put it over here. Add your chop. You can add the year on the back, a comment, list of tangles that we did. We did Nzeppel, Wave, and Boulder Builder on this one. For my practice one, I decided to have a little adventure and I put it on a tan tile, which was a little bit different. And I think it might have been a little more effective had I used more of sienna brown shadowing in it rather than just my graphite. So you can see that from here to here, it changed. And things never get drawn to exactly the same, does it? That's what kind of makes it fun. You never know exactly what's going to come out. All right, guys, hope you had fun with this. Hope you have some extra fun with the wave. Add some other things to it if you like. Some fescue would look good. Just about anything would go really well on this particular one. So, anyway, for now, I will say farewell until next time.